This is the crankshaft from a late 1930s AJS Model 22, which is a 250, and I've actually lightened this crank by almost a kilogram. It's about 0.9 of a kilogram has come off the entire assembly with what's come off each of the flywheels together. They've been rebalanced and put back together, and if I spin them, we will see we've got 0 to 5 thou there. This one's metric, it's 0 to 0.1 of a millimetre there, or 4 thou. And we spin the crank. At first it looks a little bit alarming in that we've got almost 5 thou on that clock and almost 4 thou on that clock. But then when we look at the clocks moving together, they're not quite moving at exactly the same time, but there's not much in it. The rise and fall happens pretty much together on both clocks. So again, one of these can cancel the other one out, because if they were moving in opposite directions, then there'd be a serious problem. We've also got to take into account that this timing side shaft runs in the timing side bush, and it's not brand new, it's in good shape, but there could be a little bit of wear on that which might affect the reading. I'm not too worried about it though, because I get the same sort of rise and fall on the clock when I put the end of the pickup there or there, so it's pretty even. And also this shaft, the same, I get the rise and fall happening at the same point of rotation and pretty much by the same amount all the way along. And just to sort of demonstrate that everything's okay, we'll take the crank out of the centres in the lathe and take it over to the workbench, and I'll put it into the crankcases that it's going to run in. It's going to run in an engine like the one you see there. That's another one that I've built up in the past. I'll put the camera down here, we can see the empty crankcases there, and I'll get the crank and I'll pop it into the crankcases. There's your drive side, going in with a nice click. And now put the timing side crankcase on. Like that. Now they've gone home all the way quite nicely, they've just slid together nicely like that, and you can see the crank spins freely, very freely, because I could even spin it like that. And even from the small end on the timing side shaft, I can just get hold of it between finger and thumb and spin that crank. Moving quite freely and easily, and the crankcases aren't walking against each other, they're staying put nice and steady. So I'm happy with that bottom end, and it'll be interesting to see how it livens the engine up, because I've done it to quite a few Royal Enfields with great success, and there's no reason why a vintage AJS 250 engine shouldn't liven up a little bit by having the same sort of thing done to it. So I'm going to carry on building this up now, and I've got other parts, hopefully make up a more or less complete engine out of this. And then the bike that it's for has actually got an engine in it at the moment that I've also tuned up, and it actually has an aerial cylinder head on it at the moment from a pre-war 250. So we're going to end up with 3 engines for this bike, but it'd be interesting to see how this one goes with a much lighter crank. I think it's going to liven things up considerably, so it might be a while before we get to see what the engine runs like in the bike, because the bike is a complete and almost immaculate runner as it is, so it'll be a fair bit down the line before I start swapping engines in that one for the owner. But for now we've got the basis of a very good start.